All right, so now we're going to go ahead and go to the paper overview. Okay, so I'm going to share the paper with you, kind of give you some hints and tips of how to approach this paper. It is a very quick turnaround time. I signed it on Monday and it's due on Sunday. But again, that's because it's all about you. So there's not really a lot of research or anything that you should have to look up because you should know yourself. So let's look at the paper. I'm going to try to make it as big as possible, but I know that sometimes on a computer it does look a little weird. So you can pull up the paper if you want to. You can pull it up in another tab. Typically when you're on a computer in Blackboard or for Collaborate for this session, it does put it in another tab so you can toggle back and forth between course content. Okay. All right, so let's kind of go over some of the requirements of this paper. So it is an actual expository essay, and what an expository means is that it means you're going to be explaining and describing. That's basically what that means. And what you're going to be explaining, describing, and informing about is yourself. So for this one, I want you to put in mind that you are kind of writing, a cover letter for an interview. You are writing this for an employer or a position that you want, and so you're trying to make the best impression possible. This is typically a cover letter is where they look at that plus your resume. While the resume may just list your qualifications, the cover letter really gives them a sense of your personality within there. So that's what I'm kind of looking for, a sense of that. And of course, this also gives me a sample of your writing skills, so I can look at what we need to tighten up on and work on. So it tells you that it is a traditional essay format, and that the questions that are listed below in each paragraph are not just the only questions that you can answer in that paragraph. If it relates to what that paragraph seems to be about, you can put that information in there as well. I also do not want it to be just a listing of questions, or a listing of answers. So it shouldn't be just I am from such and such, I went to this many schools, or I went to this school, and this school. I am in college because of this. Like, I really want it to sound like it's a discussion. So again, pretend you're trying to sell yourself to, an employer. You're trying to land this job, or at least you're trying to sound interesting enough to land an interview. That's what I'm trying to get at. It tells you to make sure that you proofread for errors and to use language appropriate for college level academic class. So even though this is an introduction, we don't want to use any informal language. So you want to stay away from cliches and slang. Definitely stay away from text language. Make sure that you're proofreading. Basically, if it sounds like something that you would have, that you would, say to your best friend, or to your somebody that you're really, really familiar with, best friend, mom, things like that, that's probably not appropriate for this paper. So again, you want to give off the best impression, kind of hone these skills, because this could easily be turned into something, an essay for another a scholarship or an entrance exam, or like I said, even turned into a cover letter for an interview. So really use it for that. I will be posting a rubric a little bit later. I actually meant to post that today and forgot. So I will be posting a rubric for how I will be scoring it. The rubric is on an ABCDF scale, and so it will have characteristics listed under each letter of what a paper would that fits that criteria would look like. And so that's typically how I score. All right. Any questions about that so far? No? Okay. All right. So okay, good. All right, so looking at the formatting requirement, so I tell you it is a minimum of 500 words. Anytime you see the word minimum, that means that you can do more than that. Minimum means this is the minimum requirements that you have to actually meet, or minimum wordage. So think about the word minimum for words on essays, like the word minimum when you pay a bill, right? So if you have a credit card and it tells you that the minimum payment for your credit card is $45, you don't send them 40. But if you sent them 50, they'd be happy about it. They're not going to say, no, don't send me more. This is the minimum payment. So think of that as your minimum wording. That's about 2 pages, and that's about 2 complete pages. So you want to make sure that you have all of the first page and all of the second page. I tell you that it should be in 12-point font times New Roman, which is the typical font when we're talking about MLA format, and double spaces, because that's what MLA format is as well. And I tell you to do MLA to the best of your ability. That means I'm not being a hugely strict person on MLA right now, because technically I have not taught it to you, or we have not revisited it yet. You do have the template that's in there. The Writing Center will allow you to, will give you a tutorial as well. And I believe it's in chapter 12 or 13 of our textbook. They give you an example of it. We'll go over MLA format a little bit later, but we do that once we get into the research. Again, in the content, I tell you that this is like a personal reflection and or a discussion, and not just an answering of questions. So I want you to kind of make the content connect. And then this is the only essay, or only formal essay, where we do not have a thesis statement that's actually stated within there. This is the only one. From this point on, we will have one. Okay. I apologize if you can hear somebody mowing outside. Apparently, they decided to mow right in the middle of my session. So you may hear some humming in the background. That's whoever next door is deciding to mow grass at 6 o'clock in the evening. Okay, so the first paragraph is the introduce yourself. So this first paragraph is literally all about you, and it's the like kind of your background information. So I asked you the questions like, where are you from? I want to know your hometown, home state, country, etc. Are you from somewhere else? Have you moved around a lot? Are you from a different country? Do you have family in a different country that you visit? Things like that. That's kind of what I'm wanting to know. As far as schools that you attended, I do not need to know every elementary school or middle school that you attended. I'm more interested in your secondary school. So where did you go to high school? And then if you've been in college before, if this is maybe your 3rd or 4th year in college, if you've gone to trade schools, or even if you were in the military for a little while and then decided to go back to school, kind of give me your background information there and why you're in college. So why did you choose Lee College? There are tons of colleges, community colleges and universities around. So why did you choose Lee College? Okay. So then I want to know if you are planning on going to a university and transferring. If so, where and what are you going to be seeking there? Give me your absolute dream job, the job that you would wake up and want to go to, and why it is your dream job. And then a good 5-year plan. So in 5 years from now, where do you see yourself with your career, if that's in the plans, with a family, if that's in the plans, or traveling? Okay. I have a question. It says, are we going to go over thesis statements later on? Definitely. Yes. We are definitely going to go over thesis statements later on. That will actually start with our next paper, which is a summary response paper. So the next paper is where you'll start to read different articles, and then we'll go over how to write a thesis statement for a summary response paper. But remember, thesis statements are kind of different for each type of paper because they serve different functions. So we will revisit that about 3 times throughout the semester. Okay, so body paragraph 2. So your body paragraph number 2 is basically one of the paragraphs is going to make you think a little bit, because I want to know what you think are some of your personal strengths and weaknesses. Again, I'm trying to kind of prepare you or give you, something to discuss when you get out into the working world, and as you are going to be continuing to, look for different positions and upgrade in your fields. And that's one of the questions that employers love to ask. What are your strengths and weaknesses? So give me a couple personal strengths and weaknesses. Notice that does say strengths with an S and weaknesses with an S. So you want to give me at least 2 strengths and 2 weaknesses. It says, what good habits do you have that you'll be successful in college? And then, of course, tell me some of the bad habits that might hinder you. So some of the things that you know that you need to work on to improve upon that will help you be successful, and how are you going to work on them, or or try to avoid them. I'd like to know what your favorite subjects are, subjects maybe in high school or college, which ones are you leaning toward? And this will probably have something to do with your major. So if you notice, I did not ask you the dreaded question that they ask all college students, which is what your major is. Kind of expecting for you to hint at it within this paragraph, because hopefully you chose a major that is related to a subject or a trade that you actually like to do anyway. And then I ask you about your learning style, and how do you like to learn? So are you maybe an auditory learner? Are you more of a visual learner? Are you more of a hands-on learner? Do you prefer to work in a group, or do you prefer to work independently, and why? If you have any issues about learning styles, I believe there is in our textbook, I think, or no, in the lessons, there's a way that you can see every single lesson that you have access to. It does tell you about learning styles and kind of gives you a little quiz on learning styles, or you can just kind of Google that and figure out what yours is on your own if you haven't already done so. So paragraph 2 goes a little bit deeper into, some of your information, some of your characteristics more so. Right. So for paragraph 3, body paragraph 3, it's kind of the more fun paragraph. So if you think about it, you've introduced yourself as far as background information in college. You've continued through giving me, some of your characteristics, and now you're going to get into maybe some of your hobbies and things that you do in your free time. Some of these things you hinted at when you uploaded the collages that I'm enjoying seeing. This is so much fun. It's the first time I've done the collages, so I'm seriously enjoying watching, like looking at everyone's collages, and a lot of people are doing way more than 5 pictures, which is cool. And some people want to kind of describe the pictures, which is awesome, because some of the people I may not know, or some I'm not understanding exactly what they are, but it's cool to be able to figure out what they are, even if you don't know. So I am enjoying the collages. So this is where you kind of give me a little bit more information about those things that you put in your collage. So it says, what special hobbies or interests do you have? Do you play any musical instruments, or do you, play any sports? Do you like to watch any sports? Books or magazines do you like to read, or your favorite musicians, artists, actors? What are your favorite books or movies? And then I tell you to describe one thing that you are proud of. And I'll tell you, out of that paragraph, that's probably the hardest question to answer, is what is one thing that you are extremely proud of as far as you. I want that to be on you. This paper is about me, me, me. And so I don't want you to necessarily tell me that you are proud of somebody else in your family. I want you to think about something that you have complete control over within yourself. What is something that you have done, that you have proven to yourself, a goal that you have met, etc., that you are really, really, really proud of yourself for. So that's that paragraph. So a little bit more reflective, but again, kind of your hobbies, paragraph. This is the getting to know you paragraph. Okay, so then paragraph 4 is a little bit deeper. So now we go into academics. So if you kind of notice, I'm easing into some of these questions that are gonna require you to think deeply. I really want this to be kind of self-reflective. I want you to look at this, after a year or two, and go back and say, I really like that, or I've changed a little bit in this way. So it asks you to briefly describe yourself as a reader and as a writer. What troubles have you had with reading? What pleasures have reading given you? And then what motivates you as a writer? And the same thing, what troubles have you had with writing? What pleasures has writing given you? One of the things I want you to keep in mind is that we do a lot of writing. We just don't consider it writing. And we also do a lot of reading. We just don't consider it reading. So I want you to consider everything that you read in a day, in a week, right? Everything that you write in a day, in a week, everything that you consume. We consume a lot of language every single day, every single week. So whether you are the person that is reading novels, or listening to audiobooks and listening to novels, reading newspapers, reading magazines, reading articles on television, listening to speeches, that's kind of a way of, still getting some reading and writing in. Or if you're the person that's posting very long social media messages, or sending your friends memes that have words within them and not just pictures, or even When it comes to writing, if you're the person that writes to help yourself organize, like for instance, do you make to-do lists when you have things to do? Do you list when you go to the grocery store? So you remember certain things, or when you go to the doctor and you want to make sure that you ask the doctor a couple of questions that you have for yourself or for a loved one or wherever. So think about all the ways that you actually write. And so that writing can be typing, that writing can be handwriting, that writing can be texting. Think about those things, and likewise with that writing comes reading. So I want you to think about everything that you read and write and consume, and what you like about doing those things, and what gives you some cues as well. Okay, because we're all readers and writers, whether we like it or not. All right, so then I ask you about the English classroom, and I say, okay, if you were to design the perfect English classroom for yourself, what would it look like? So, I mean, what would we do? What types of reading and writing activities or assignments would interest you, or at least not make you miserable? And so what I'm trying to do is to get a feel for what types of text that I want to pull. I always like to say I'm teaching skills and not necessarily course or curriculum type stuff or a textbook. So we're not going to study, each class is not going to study the exact same stories, articles, text. What we're going to do is we're going to use different ones that are gathered around the class's needs, so to speak, so that we can learn certain skills. So for instance, if in this class I have, a lot of people who like, sci-fi type novels, texts, etc. They're all about their Hunger Games and they're divergent, and and the world's coming to an end and apocalyptic type stuff and all of that. Then I might see if I can pull a short story to add to what we'll be reading and learning. So that's what I'm really looking for within that question about the perfect English classroom. Make sure you try to make it toward online learning, because that's where we are right now, and that's where we'll be in the fall as well. So try to fashion it toward online learning. I'm also not opposed to videos and all of that, so don't just think of it as we're going to read and write. What can we listen to? What can we see visually? What can we analyze? Because all of those flex those reading and writing skills. Okay. So then on the last paragraph, very last paragraph, and I'm going to go ahead and share that. So the last paragraph is a conclusion. And so the last paragraph, I want you to name and describe at least 2 personal non-academic goals for this semester. Our semester runs 10 weeks. We are in week 2 of a 10-week class, meaning that this class isn't over until August, and then about 2 weeks after this class ends is when the fall semester will start. So what do you think you can accomplish in the next 9 weeks or so? What is something that you would like to accomplish? And note, this says non-academic. So I don't want you to say, I'm going to make an A in this class in the next 9 weeks. That's awesome. That's not what I want. I want to know something that is non-academic, something that's like personal enrichment, something that you want to do or that you haven't done before, and that maybe you have more time to do now that we're kind of in a pandemic type state. And it seems like now we have a lot of, well, I'll put it this way, a lot of people have a lot more time on their hands because they're not physically going to a job or not physically going out as much. So what's something that you would like to accomplish? And this can be anything. This can be, from the person that says, you know what, I think I want to try to stop smoking, to the person that says, I think I'll actually want to redecorate my room. Just something that you would like to do. 2 non-academic personal goals for this semester. How will you reach these goals? So what are the steps that you're going to put forth to reach these goals? So this is just some good, goal setting skills, because, we have goals, you have to put in some action to do it. And then if there's anything that you think I can help you with, if your goal seems like it's something that I might know about, or something that you think I can help you with, then let me know. And again, it's not supposed to be academic, so it doesn't have to be related to English per se. But if it's something that you think I can do to help you, if I can point you in a direction of a resource or something like that, let me know. And then last but not least, the last question is kind of open. It's just, what else would you like me, your instructor, to know about you? So I have 45 students in this class. Of these 45, I know about 10 of them that I've had before in either classes here, or some I've even taught in high school before that have found me again at the college level. So a lot has changed and can change within that time and even within a semester. Is there something that you want me to know about? I am the only person that reads these. I do not share these with anybody, but this is just kind of, again, letting me get to know you. I have some students with disabilities, so you may want to say, if you are a student with disability, you might want to let me know that. You don't necessarily have to let me know what the disability is unless you want to, but you might want to say, I receive accommodations. Can these are the ones I have, just so to make sure that I have what it is that you need. Or anything else that you feel like I need to know that would help me better understand you and help me better teach you. So that's pretty much the paper overview in a nutshell. I will most likely do these paper overviews every week that we actually have a paper assigned, and I will continue to do these. Some papers we will have 2 or 3 weeks to write, and so each week, even after I've assigned it, I'll still go through and try to answer any questions as they are coming up and walk you through these steps. This is an instructional video is basically what this is, and I told you you'll get those pretty much every week.